Okay. Okay. Video is coming back for me. So we're all good. We will open the May 18th meeting of the Fairport Industrial Development Agency, and I'll call that to order. And as for an approval of the April 20th, 2020 meeting minutes, I believe everyone was present for that.
Should we do a roll call, Ed?
Yeah.
Because we're not present together. Okay.
Okay, we'll do a roll call. Rob Gentner.
Here.
Kevin, come again?
I said Leslie White.
No.
Is she?
She's muted. I'm here, sorry.
Okay.
Donna Steph
Present.
and Roar.
Here.
And Kevin Clark is here. Okay. So now I'll ask for approval of the April 20th, 2020 meetings of the IDA. Approval of those minutes.
So moved.
On the IDA minutes, there were brought to my attention several punctuation errors, essentially. Ed, is that right?
Yep, that's all.
And so I can go through those. There's about 5 punctuation errors that Ed called to my attention. I didn't get a chance to resend the minutes, but I'll correct those, and so we could have those minutes as amended.
So moved as amended.
Thank you.
I'll second. Kevin, are you muted?
Yep.
Can you hear me now? Can anyone hear me?
Now we can,
Hear you
yep.
now.
Okay, yep.
All right, because I'm ready to just make the phone call and just call in on that number. So I'm going to do that now. Okay.
Okay.
Welcome. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Not entered any number. Please re-enter the meeting password.
I'm having trouble with my phone too. So
All right. Well, we'll keep going. We got you good now. We can see you video and we can hear you. So we're at the point where we've had a motion and a second on the minutes as amended.
okay. Any comments or corrections or discussion regarding the minutes? All in favor, Rob Gentner,
Aye.
Leslie,
Aye.
Donna,
Aye.
and Ken.
He was muted, but I believe he said aye.
I'm sorry, aye.
And I vote aye, so those minutes are approved. We can go now to the financial reports, asking for resolution for 2020-5 authorizing payment of the IDA.
I move approval of the claims.
I second.
I want to note that the BME payment of $1,700 has been voided. That is actually going to be picked up by the purchaser of the parking spaces that we're selling to the Village Inn. So that check's been voided.
Okay. Any other comments or discussion regarding payment of the bills? Rob Gentner,
Aye.
Leslie White,
Aye.
Donna Stefano,
Aye.
Ken Rohr,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Passes. We'll now go to the cash and investment reports. Martha,
Great.
anything that you want to call out on these?
Sure, I just included an extra column trying to show you year over year where we were in April 2019 versus where we are in April 30 of 2020. Just to show you, we have had some capital expenses over the last year or so, and I just wanted to give you just a little bit of background on that. So after the CDs and investments that are maturing currently in that second block there, a lot of that I've been rolling over because we do have that $350,000 obligation to the north side for next year, the north side of the project of the canal. So those are being rolled over as expected, where I used to get 1.38 or so on a CD. Now I'm getting, 0.25. I also checked, there was a couple of small, maybe $75,000 items maturing in the investment portfolio, and those I rolled as well.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion regarding the financials? We have the financial report for Tompkins as well.
Mhm.
And the IDA P&L statement.
Right, this month, Kevin, you had made a remark about how you used to look at financials at the Village, and I tried a different format this month to see how you all like it. We've got a year-to-date column through April 20. We've got budget year-to-date. Then you have the percentage or the dollar amount over budget or under budget. And then it compares also to the annual budget. So just, want to get some feedback on that presentation. If you like that presentation, if it's helpful. One of the things we dropped was percentage over and under budget, which, really relates to kind of a manufacturing environment. So just give me your thoughts on that, or thumbs up, thumbs down. Thanks,
This
Donna.
format seems fine.
So,
Thanks, Ken. One of the things I do want to point out is also on the current format, it doesn't give us the net, excuse me, just let me find that. Next month, I'll try to make sure I get that in. But if you look before the unrealized loss on investment, we would show a loss of $122,000, but you've got to bear in mind in there, we also had to expense the $150,000 that we was part of the grant for the Southwest Bank. And then, so if you add that back in, we're to the good, so to speak, $27,000 versus a budget of $18,000. So that we're in good shape there. And, the full year, basically it's a break even. So hopefully we'll be a little bit ahead of that.
okay. All right. Any more questions from anyone regarding the financials? Okay. Hearing no one, we'll move on to old business. First item is an update from Ed on the 103 North Main Street closing and resolutions.
Yes, so we entered into a purchase contract for the land. It is part of the New York State requirements for all IDAs. We have a what's called a disposition of real property policy. And so to comply with that, I have here the resolution to approve that. This is different from what we did with the cannery because the cannery was such a due to the dollar size involved in the cannery, we had to get basically we had to provide notice and wait a certain number of days before we could approve. On this one, because the payment, it's under the $15,000 threshold, we don't need to do that. So it's basically once we do the resolution, we'll be good to be able to close on this. And the resolution is substantially similar to the one we did before with regards to the cannery. So for example, we have in here as attached a map of the space that you're selling, and it includes a copy of the contract, and then also includes a copy of the assessment that we did for the entire space, not just the parking lot itself, but we based that appraisal. The purchase price on this one we based off that appraisal. So so basically,
Right.
what I'm asking for is approval of this resolution and authorizing the sale of the property.
Okay, we all have a copy of that resolution. It was part of our packet. So I guess I'll ask for a motion, then we can go into discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, now, is there any discussion or questions for Ed regarding this resolution or the sale? We've talked about it for a while. Any questions or comments?
I had difficulty reading the map, so are we talking about spots that are on the south border of the property?
Of the Village Inn property,
Village,
yes.
yep.
Right along the edge of it, correct?
Yep.
Mhm.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Is that where the grassy spot is now, kind of in the little slopey area, or is it further back from there?
No, we're essentially just selling him the parking, the paved parking spaces that he has, nothing more. Our
Oh,
property will run, there's now a sidewalk from North Main all the way back in. Our property is on the northern edge, goes to the northern edge of that sidewalk.
okay.
So he owns north of the sidewalk. Hopefully that makes sense.
I'm map challenged, so when I went down
Well,
there,
I think
still
that
wasn't
that
100%
map
sure.
in there is the plan, or that was existing conditions at the time. And now it's as opposed to the map from the cannery planning board submission. But the boundary line is the northern edge of the sidewalk now.
Okay. If there's no more discussion, I'll call for a vote. I'm going to do this differently, just saying all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? That carries. And Ed, you got my signed
Yes, I did for the
resolution that
bylaws. Yep, thank you.
All right, and was
Right.
Donna, we have
Bylaws
needed
signature.
Donna to sign the bylaws as well?
My printer broke this week, but I'll get them signed tonight. That's what I'm trying to find a fix.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want me to run one over to you after the meeting?
I think it's been printed. I just have to pick it up at my mother's house. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yes. We're all at home trying to work, not working at home. Any other, Ed, do you need signatures, Ed, or is it just my signature you need?
Actually, I can sign it. It's just I'm certifying that the resolution is a true, correct copy, so I can do that too. I usually like to have the executive director do it, but in these times, I've been signing these type of things. So
Okay, because I got to get you some wet signatures anyhow, right?
to the deed, yep, to the deed, the RP and the RP 52.
Okay, now those I can get to you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
So, sure. Okay.
Okay. Other old business, an update on 75 North Main.
Right, I
Yep.
just wanted to let you know that I received word from Hamilton Stern that they're not going to go forward at this time with their expansion, which is disappointing. I did speak with Matt Lester, and but RDG is going to be going forward on their space, but right now they're rethinking. They're in a redesign phase now to accommodate all the requirements of physical distancing, et cetera. So that one should move along pretty quickly because they want to be in there before the end of the year, before their big tax season starts. So I put in a
So
call.
that-
I'm sorry, Kevin?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I did put a
I
call
just
into.
said-
Okay. I put in a call to Whitney Banowitz and haven't had a chance to connect with her yet, but Matt was very confident that he'd be moving forward. He also is working with another local business that's trying to expand, and we may have talked about it last time. So Matt was very upbeat about the cannery and 75 North Main, and he couldn't wait. He was going to have 40 guys over there today. Doing the construction. So he may have lost one tenant who's in kind of a personal services business, but he was very upbeat and was encouraged by the activity that he's seeing for the spaces. So that's very good. And that's all. I think, you know what,
Okay.
I think Ed and I aren't going to shelve Hamilton Stern at this point. We've got the approval in place. It doesn't expire, and we'll be ready to go because that is something that we'd love to add to the village. So that's all.
Okay. All right. Okay, any other old business?
No.
All right. Let's move on to new business regarding the COVID-19 impact, research, business retention, and attraction.
Right. As we
Go ahead,
talked a little bit last month about our response to the current situation and the impact on businesses, especially, we talked about how, this kind of trumps the lift bridge issue that we had, that we continue to have. But at that time, because of our mission, and we entered into an agreement with our local development corporation to carry out research activities, direct business assistance, et cetera, to minimize the impact of the lift bridge closing. So given the current situation, we talked briefly a little bit about how we might make a similar action this year to minimize the impact of COVID on our businesses. So what we did, Ed and I, and we kind of worked through the similar resolution we had last year. And you replace lift bridge with pandemic, and it's literally the same issue. So we envision the same type of thing working with the LDC, and we can go into it when we have the LDC meeting, but essentially we're going to be charging the IDA is going to be charging the LDC with minimizing the impacts on our local business community and continuing its business attraction and retention activities and undertaking any research that needs to be done to that end. And so this resolution should, well, look, you might not remember, it's very similar to the one we did last year. What is empty is the dollar amount. What amount of funds we'd be looking to transfer, or I'm sorry, what the amount of the contract with the LDC would be. So, and that's again why I also included the April 2019 cash balances with you as well, just to give you an idea about you know, what it looked like last year when the original contract was 150 for the lift bridge. So, given the magnitude of this, we may want to consider something greater than 150. But I'll open it up, I guess, and let the board tell me what your thoughts are.
I think since we could always take amending action to increase any amount of the contract, why don't we just do the 150 for now and worry about any amendment later?
One of the things I was gonna suggest is I think that as the contract's written, it says up to, or as the resolution is written, it's up to.
Mhm.
So if at this time we wanted to peg that high mark and then only transfer over the funds if we need them and then wind down the contract with a balance outstanding, I don't know, that's an option rather than taking an amending action. I don't know, Ed or
We could,
Chair, what do you think?
It actually could be both. You know, just, again, working like a letter of credit almost. If we don't spend the 150, it doesn't need to stay there, you know, we just draw on that amount. And then if we do need to exceed whatever that amount is, we could do that by an amending resolution. That's a thought.
I'm comfortable with that number, matching the 150K that we spoke of a year ago, and using that at least as a benchmark to work from.
I've got two 150s. Anyone else?
I'm good with the 150 as well, but
Oh, three, okay.
Yeah, here too.
Okay. And we can go in, we'll go into it more in the LDC about things that, you know, how those funds might be best utilized, so. Okay, great.
so do we need an action on that?
A resolution, yeah.
yes, yep. We do.
So the resolution would be such that the IDA enter into a contract
Mhm.
with the LDC for an amount up to $150,000 to be used for COVID-19 recovery or whatever we're calling that.
Yep, that works.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other new business?
No,
Anyone else have any new business for the IDA? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We'll close the meeting of the IDA. And with that, I will open the May 18th, 2020 meeting of the Fairport Urban Renewal Agency and call that to order. Roll call for this meeting. Kevin Clark is here.
anybody else?
Rob Gett,
Rob
Leslie
Ginther
White
certainly here
here.
still.
Leslie White,
I'm still here.
Anna Stefano,
Here,
Ken Rohr.
Here,
Do we continue to
Uh,
record
Ask
this?
for an approval.
It's still, mine says it's recording and still live.
Okay.
Ask for approval of the April 20th, 2020 meeting minutes of the URA.
So moved.
I'll second.
Comments, correction, or discussion on those minutes? All in favor?
aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Carries. We'll move on to financial reports, starting with resolution 2020-5, authorizing payment of the URA bills.
I move payment of the URA bills.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion regarding any of those bills, or Martha, anything that you would like to add?
No, they're very straightforward. Nothing unusual.
Normal
explain
monthly
the-
bills.
Oh,
Can you
yes, Des?
Sorry, the McDougal Communications, what was that for? Was that an outstanding?
Oh, Charlotte helped me out with that Spectrum News interview. That was a weekends ago.
Right.
We also have an insurance bill in there. We've secured insurance for all the office equipment that is in people's homes now. So very reasonably priced. So I'm very happy about that. So, because especially we're going to be, as we move to go back to the office, it's going to be a lot of both working both places. So there's equipment moving back and forth. There's, cats and dogs, at home with and glasses of water and stuff. So I just went out and bought, very inexpensive insurance for, people had some at home, but I didn't want to get into that. So I just wanted to make sure we were covered. So.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? That carries. Move on to resolution 2020-5, authorizing payment of the section 8 bills.
I move payment of the section 8 bills.
I'll second.
Comments or questions or discussion regarding those? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to cash balance reports and financial statements for the URA and section 8. Anything you want to call out, Martha, or questions?
The Front Porch Grant Program, I continue to get a lot of interest in that. And then the last week or so, I've been involved. I think we have, conditional approvals on about another $20,000 worth of porch improvements, which is lovely. A lot of
Great.
activity up in Ken's neighborhood. I don't know if he's dropping that, leafleting up there with our postcards, but it's nice to see, some positive things happening. I will note the cash balances you see there for section 8 in April 30. If you do not reflect the additional admin that we received. If you had a chance to read through the section 8 housing report, HUD has provided 2 months of extra admin fees to address COVID-19 issues. And it's exactly for things like equipping people to work from home, for example. Jennifer's going to be investigating moving stuff to the cloud, all of their Happy software that they use for their Housing Pro could be housed in the cloud. Looking at paperless things. So that was about $74,000 additional deposits that you'll see reflected in next month's statement. They came in May.
Okay. Any more questions or discussion regarding the financials? Okay, we'll move on to the urban renewal loan balance status. This is current, and this borrower did not take advantage of the option that we offered regarding extending the loans.
Correct.
Chose to continue payment, and those are all current.
Correct.
Any questions on the loans? Okay. Let's move on to the Section 8 housing report.
Right. You'll have to bear with me because my other laptop froze up, but I think as I recall, Jennifer laid out for you the things that are going on within the Section 8 housing. We're still very active. We are, because people's incomes have declined, their rental assistance has increased. And so we are running ahead of funding. I think, as I recall, it was 102% of funding, right? On page 2 of the report, perhaps.
That's right.
And Jennifer is working with HUD to get additional funds released. This is not a cause for concern. It's a lot of it just accounting, moving the funds. There's HUD held reserves that can be released to fund these expected increases. She expects if we get into July or August before they release those reserves, that might be a little tough, but she's on top of it. We're just fine right now. So there's that. I'm going to try to find I'm afraid to do anything because I'm trying to find my board package. But we can move on. I think that's, were there any other questions on Section 8?
No, thank you.
I did not have any.
She did mention that she has about 12 or 13 vouchers out on the street, meaning there are people looking for housing. They've been approved and so forth. But because of funding, she's not anxious to issue a lot more vouchers because we're going to have to pay for those, should they find housing, then we have to start paying right away. So, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let's move on to any old business or urban renewal.
I didn't have any.
Okay. Move into new business, the 2021 wage and salary schedule.
Right. This is as was recently adopted by the village, and it does not include any COLA this year, which I'm very happy. I mean, I'm happy that they've maintained, and no one can be upset about this.
Right. So we are following the village's lead, doing the same thing.
I would recommend it. Our funding's different from them, should our board here decide to add in a COLA. But I think everyone would understand if this year there was no COLA.
Right.
Forgive me, what's the COLA acronym, Martha?
A cost of living.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And the village has historically gone 2 or 3% increases for their employees. And we have mirrored what the village has done. And this year is being extraordinary, and they have decided not to have any salary increase. And my recommendation is the same as Martha's, that we don't either.
It's too early in this process, you know, a year from now, we have no idea what it'll look like. So
Mhm.
it's best to err on the side of caution. And, you know, we're fortunate enough, we have different revenue streams than they do. And we are fortunate enough that everyone is still working and fully and gainfully employed. So that's good.
Okay. So no action is,
I'd like, I think we typically adopt the salary schedule.
I'll make a motion to do so, to adopt the 2020, 2021 salary schedule.
And this will be effective the first full payroll period following June 1.
I will second.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. All right. Martha, talk to us about the office reopening.
Well, right now, I put a lot of thought into this. I'm researching, trying to find the best sources to understand what reopening is going to look like, working with the village. I've heard that the village won't open until June 1st at the earliest, is my understanding. Maybe that's open to the public. I don't have any additional details. However, because of the nature of our office and our ability to work alone or work remotely, is we're acclimated to it at this point. My preference is that the village hall would open. They'd work out all the kinks and quirks of it, with in particular access for the public, and then we would open a week later for our office staff, initially without any access for the public, because I want to make sure this is done correctly. I'm not in a rush. There's no reason. I can't see a reason to rush back and throw open our doors. So eventually, you know, we'll be able to accept, to meet with the public, but again, it would be by not walk-ins, but it would be by appointment only. And I understand that one of the things about Village Hall is that they don't want the public meeting within offices that are shared with others. And so, you know, it's all limited to the conference rooms, which will be cleaned after everyone leaves and so forth. So there's a lot of processes and procedures that have to be set in place. And so one of the things finally, New York State issued this safety plan template, and it's gonna, you know, it talks a little bit about the types of things, supplies, signage, hand sanitation stations, you know, those types of things that will be put in place in our office. I don't anticipate that we need to make any physical changes because I think most of us have, you know, that 6-foot radius is not a problem within our office. With Jen's funding, I'm recommending that we buy some additional equipment. We've got a printer that's dying. You know, we're going to make sure that we have that there's a less shared equipment and so forth. We've got people with families and kids and stuff. I just want to make sure we do this right. So it'll be cautious. But we fortunately, HUD funding will allow things like, we'll also have laptops and big monitors at home. So we just have to, or I'm sorry, docking stations. Everyone's going to get a laptop that doesn't have one. Sheila's is on hold, I believe. Paul, we're going to just do with the iPads. Again, long story short, you get where I'm going with this. we're going to be able to fully function at home and at the office in a safe manner and still, maintain a great level of service. So,
Martha,
yes.
quick question from me. How are we doing in regards to messaging how citizens can engage with us without the ability to do the walk-in? In other words, are we positioning access to the team online? Are we posting a phone number somewhere where they can access it? How are we sort of bridging the gap while there is no physical place for someone to walk into?
Well, we do have our website, and as bad as it is, it's the front page I'm able to update that and provide additional information. For example, we've closed the wait list. So we do have information there about that. We also have the current HUD notices. But I'm doing most of it by messaging or emailing, working with the FPMA to provide information back and forth and so forth. And then, today I made another round of calls to a lot of the landlords and got some updates on what they're seeing. So, and we have the Twitter and Twitter, our website, email.
Okay.
Is there a suggestion, or is there some other way I'm happy to explore other avenues.
I think if you have a sense that there's good awareness out there with the approach in place, I don't have any better suggestion. I just think it's good to be aware and be conscious of the fact that there's folks that have all different kinds of access to all different kinds of electronic communication. And while we have that sort of stop sign in regards to coming into Village Hall right now, just trying to think of if you feel good about the level of access and communication that we are providing to the general public, then I feel good about it too. I think it's something good to be conscious of.
Thanks. No, I appreciate that. That's a great discussion point. So I do feel that people know my name, know my phone number, reach out. As I've said, I'm very judicious about email blasting people at this time with just redundant information. I don't do that. But I'm actively in contact with our borrowers quite a bit, actively in contact with the partnership, the Merchants Association, the chamber president. So we're still good. We're good.
In a given week, any given week, a year ago, 2 years ago, can you give me a sense of the different personas, if you will, of the folks that are the foot traffic that would be walking into our office?
The foot traffic into our office was primarily related to the Section 8 housing clients. I have, Sebastian Corrotolo used to stop in every month to bring his check in. And fortunately, Sebastian received his kidney transplant last Tuesday. So I talked to him today. So that was very good news. But there isn't really heavy foot traffic. It's not my function isn't really a retail function, compared to even Section 8 is more of a retail function. So I wouldn't say it's been hindered at all.
Good to hear.
Do you think you would move to like appointment-based only?
Or certainly
Any
for
of the
Section
services?
Section 8, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And, that's all I did. Really, that's all I do really is appointment, So I don't feel that it's going to be a detriment on my activities, honestly. Actually, I'll probably be more productive because without an admin in the office, I was the face people saw as soon as they came in the door, the Section 8 clients primarily. And so there was a lot of time shepherding them, to where they needed to go or whatever. So it'll be grand. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Any other urban renewal business? Ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Okay, with that, we will now move into I'll open the May 18th, 2020 meeting of the Fairport Local Development Corporation. Call that meeting to order. We will do a roll call again. Kevin Clark, I am here. Rob
President
Gentner,
White, I am here.
Rob Gentner's here too.
Donna
Donna
Stefano here.
Stefano,
Here.
Ken Rohr.
Here.
I'll ask for a motion to approve the April 20th, 2020 meetings minutes.
So moved.
A
Second.
second.
Any comments, correction, or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carries. Moving into financials, resolution 2020-5, authorizing payment of the LDC bills.
I move payment of the LDC bills.
I'll second.
Sorry, I cut out there. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Carried. Financial statements and cash balance report.
We just have that as the train watching platform, nears completion. We do have a public art committee meeting this week to consider a proposal for some railings for the platform. And that's what that $10,000 is designated for. We expect to close the Harder loan. Ed's been working with Jeff about getting all the paperwork in place for the parking lot. And we have a balance in the Lift Bridge Impact Fund of about $42,000. And that will fund our current work with McDougal as well.
And if anyone hasn't seen it, they are paving the parking lot behind Ricky's Shorts and Foots that is under construction now.
It was striped today and they were putting plants in, so it's moving right along.
Oh, cool. Great.
Just if I could add, Shorts, I did meet with Jeff at the bar. He's having the entire floor stripped, the bar strip. He's painting, stripping, doing everything. The whole place is torn up. So I think it'll look really nice when it's all done.
Good.
He did express some concern about how he's going to card people with masks, but
Hey, Martha, do we have a ETA for the train watching platform, the completion of it?
I don't right now. Have you been down lately to see the progress?
Yeah, I rode by yesterday.
Oh, okay. I don't know, honestly, because they were going gangbusters for a while. I saw DPW trucks there today. I don't know, honestly.
Okay.
I think it's, wait, I think the original target date was the beginning of June because they wanted to dedicate it on Canal Days weekend. So I think they're still on the same timeline.
Okay.
I haven't seen it in a bit. Is that handicap accessible?
Yes, there's a ramp, and I think that, that I think influenced the project because they only raised it 18 inches. Because I think if they went much higher, you know, to create more of a stage presence, it would have required more ramping. So I think that's kind of, they work hand in hand to do that.
Okay. Anything else on financials? All right. I'm not seeing loan status reports on my
That's gonna,
agenda.
we're gonna move that to the end so we can go into executive session.
Gotcha. Okay, I see it. All right, so go to the old business, the loan approval modification for Iron Smoke Whiskey.
Right, as you recall, we were doing equipment for them in conjunction with Monroe County Industrial Development Corporation. We're gonna be 50-50 on this. And one of the things in my communications with Iron Smoke recently, they still have another piece of equipment to purchase, but it's gonna be MCIDC's turn to advance, so we're actually gonna get paid down a little bit from what is currently outstanding. But I'm asking if we could modify the loan, similar to what we did last month with Jeff Harder, that we begin principal repayment in January of 21. Give them a 6-month interest will accrue and interest will be payable, but the principal does not begin to be repaid until January.
Martha, is this in light of the pandemic and the impact of the business?
Right, right. Did you all happen to see, maybe I only sent it to Kevin, the city newspaper article that featured Tommy Brunette?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
No, I did not.
It's, yeah, I'll send that out later this afternoon. And you know, it talks about the impacts on Iron Smoke. So, you know, they pivoted. They were going gangbusters. They've got a lot in inventory. The watering, what's it called? Sideshow and watering, whatever, room was generating a significant amount of cash. So that won't be coming back for a while, so. Again, and I remind, we have very strong guarantors on this as well.
Okay. So we need a resolution to modify that loan.
Please.
Okay. Anyone care to make that motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. New business. Talk about a small business recovery program.
Right.
Martha, I'm
believe-
trying to access the email where you sent that out, and I'm not finding it for whatever
That was
reason.
Sunday afternoon,
No.
I think I sent
Okay.
it. Did everybody
It
get
was
that? It
Sunday,
was
yesterday.
Sunday afternoon, I believe, that I sent out I had a placeholder in the loan packet, in the package.
Oh, and then it came through as an attachment to that.
Right.
So I'm gonna go to
Do you have that, Kevin?
translate the way you send those.
You want me to forward it to you now?
No, it's just technical glitches. But anyway, I know what it says, so.
Okay.
So anyways, you want to walk through it, Martha?
Right, so following last month's meeting, Kevin and I, we had some back and forth discussing things that we might be able to do to help the local businesses. As I've said many times, cash is king, cash, cash, cash. That's what a lot of the smaller retail type merchants and restaurants need at this time. So one of the things, given that the IDA is looking to the LDC to provide assistance to businesses, we talked about providing possibly grants, reimbursement grants for expenses that are related to COVID, such as, physical barriers like the plexiglass and so forth, PPE, cleaning solutions, sanitization, POS, purchasing POS systems for their sales, air filtration, employee training, those types of things to make, and do it on a reimbursement basis initially. So somebody could go out and spend up to $5,000 and then present paid invoices, and we would then cut them a check for that. That's one of the proposed ways we want to provide some type of assistance. Right now, I've been working with Merchants Association on doing a survey to businesses to find out what their needs are. Again, we think we know what they need, but we need them to tell us what they need, or to help us understand their needs. So the merchants have a very robust communications platform that has a survey component in it, and it's helpful when I communicate with them, with the merchants together. It really works better. So hopefully that will go out soon. One of the things I personally would, as director, would like to recommend that we do this in conjunction with merchants, that we offer to leverage our funds together to provide this assistance. So, just in this draft that I sent you, I just said, let's start with an initial allocation of 50,000 and then ask the merchants to put 50,000 in, and, I'd be happy to, administer the program. That's not a problem. And then, draw on funds as needed. So that's where we can jump off and start discussing. If you want to talk about that, or do you want to go through the whole thing I sent out, or should we do piecemeal? Anybody?
I think
Well,
that
I've
the
been talking to you, so let's hear from others.
I was just going to say, I think the recommendation to share this with the Merchants Association is a really good idea. I think the survey is a really good idea too. And if you can, I would welcome, maybe in the next meeting, if we could see the results of those surveys.
Yeah.
That would be great to hear, and may generate other ideas on how we can help. But I like the idea of sharing and working and collaborating with the Merchants Association, in particular, if that helps drive engagement from the individual merchants.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
What's the thoughts on just the general grant idea of it being a reimbursable? Martha and I talked about this a fair amount.
I wondered.
Kevin and I had a good go around on this one. Leslie?
I wondered, should we reimburse up to $5,000 or 80% or something like that, so that they've got some skin in the game? I guess I don't know, maybe I'm being harsh, but I heard you say before that, we offer, but they don't come back with ideas and those sorts of things. And I kind of, obviously to open, they're going to have to do many of these things on that list. I just feel like, is it all on us to help them do that, or do they need to step up with a portion of that. You know, if it costs me $6,000 and we can reimburse up to 5, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it very well, sorry.
No, I know what
But I
you're
was-
saying, and I typically would be all on board with that, Leslie. I just think these are extraordinary times. And in a reimbursement situation, they've already paid for the stuff. So they've shown some capacity to do that, and then they can move on and continue. I think, you know, maybe the 5 is, I don't know what it will take to get these places up and running, which is hopefully what the survey will say. But if somebody,
They're all going to
we missed Kevin.
think about the different types of businesses we have too. You know, I mean, you could think of a big restaurant type business versus a small 3-person office versus a barber shop. I mean, we have so many different types of businesses, so it's hard to tell what somebody is really going to have to expend for this. And the thought, as I was thinking through this, is that the reimbursement, we have not, as an agency or any of our organization, really ever given money away for operating expense things. And our loans have been on sort of improvement. And this, we didn't want to just be able to give somebody $5,000 that they would, because they lost $5,000 before, and just put it into their operating account. We wanted to see that they will have skin in the game, in that they're staying open and they're taking these measures to kind of you know, move forward and to recover. You know, so that I kind of dubbed it a recovery program. I think that that's important, as that skin in the game part you're talking about, Leslie, is they are fronting this money that shows that, yeah, we do want to go forward.
And then it allows them to offset maybe other operating costs that, you know, are of greater priority, like, well, greater priority in the sense of staying open, like rent, utilities, inventory. Yeah.
I think a lot of these people they haven't been, if they have inventory, even if somebody like the Redbird or, you know, Mercantile or something, you don't have that turnover to generate cash to buy your next, you know, inventory. So because you had diverted to these one-time expenses that aren't recurring normal operating, they're non-recurring expenses. So I appreciate your comments, definitely, Leslie. And because they're reimbursable and they have to provide paid invoices, I think that provides some comfort.
I think making a clear list of what would be reimbursable in this program, I think is pretty important too, right? To make sure that there's a good line drawn in regards to response related expenses. But to Donna's point, then obviously that will free up funds that they can utilize elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you got a good working list here already.
Great. Thank you to Mr. Clark. He kind of put that together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. It might get a little fuzzy.
I
You
heard
know,
POS and that sounded fuzzy initially, but the more you think about it, and things like that need to evolve a little bit and be a little bit different than they have been probably.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there for employee training. I'm thinking if someone goes and gets a certification on something, I don't know. It's
Outside training. Yeah, outside training is what I had in mind.
okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I threw in there the development and acquisition of online platforms. If someone had a website and they needed to add a new online shopping module type thing to, I don't know. we could be as narrow as we want or as broad as we want.
Mhm.
And possibly when we have the survey results, we'll have a better indication of what that is.
Sure.
One of the things that we talked about, and again, I don't have that in front of me, and I'm not sure if it made it into that, but we had talked about, would this go back to retroactively to March 15th or whatever that date was of the pause? Would we be entertaining invoices that have already been paid going back to that date? Or is this going forward? I don't think we resolved that or gave any.
No, I would recommend yes. This is, for those that were able to stay open, they already had to do that. And, if they're still going to go forward, I would recommend yes. I've seen, and I'll tell you, I've spent a lot of time trying to find other programs that would fit here, and most of them go retro to like March 15th.
How is it, I might have missed it. How is it we're going to do this survey or get the information from the survey?
I'm working with the Fairport Merchants Association. They have a very robust online communication tool for all of their members. And it would be then, and there's a survey module. So we would be able to communicate directly to all the merchants. And then the Chamber of Commerce and my email list, we could share the link, the same link, and really blanket it and hopefully get some responses. I'm trying to think of if we have 100,000, most of them aren't, I don't think most businesses are gonna, I don't know. Actually, I was gonna say, I don't think most will do 5,000, but I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, at some point, do you buy them 6 months of, masks and gloves? Or is that, or, what if they buy a year's supply? Is it a one-time thing? Is it an ongoing thing? I think for purposes of tonight's discussion, it's understanding your interest in proceeding and then working out the details based on the information we get from the surveys and working with the FPMA and seeing if they want to partner with us on this.
So here's another thought that I'm having to, and this comes from the perspective of that there'll be a lot of interest. Could we make it, instead of retroactive all the way back to March 15th, could we instead make it retroactive to, I don't know what the date was recently, when the state published those, I don't know what the exact title is, but we had them up on the screen before, the exact
safety plan.
The safety plan. Yeah. So it's in support of implementing the safety plan in order to support the full reopening or the phased in reopening. Yeah.
Because the safety plan did call out specific items.
Yep.
And actually, if I wanted to be, at one point I was thinking about how to actually administer the program, and I abandoned this, but have them submit to us their completed safety plan, because they are supposed to have that on file available before they reopen. But again, is that my business? I don't know.
Yeah, we're not really the regulator here.
No. But to your point.
No, but we're using the money.
Yeah, we're using the money for a public service. Or we could say well, again, I don't know how much you want to limit it to, but limited in support of your reopening plan, so that, like, we're not reviewing the reopening plan to say that it's correctly filled out, but that this is in support. I don't know how important that would be.
But I like the idea that it's tied to a document that is neutral, that we didn't develop, and as I recall, it does call out the items you need. You need
Oh, yeah.
posters, you need hand sanitizer, you need gloves, you need masks. Those things that are called for in the safety plan.
Mhm.
But I don't know that, for example, that the safety plan would have called, let's see if I can pull it back up, for, point of sale systems. Let's see here.
Mm.
I don't believe it includes anything like the online platform development or anything like that, but I think that's certainly a worthy investment on our end of supporting something like that.
I mean, it does have this physical distancing under people about, shortening the distance as much as possible. I would think it would fall in some of this
Yeah.
vaguer language.
So how about this, though, for tonight, in the interest of time, can we maybe work at it at the higher level? Like, is the board interested in setting aside $50,000 perhaps to provide assistance to grants and supportive businesses as they implement the safety plan for reopening in partnership with the Merchants Association? And then work out the details maybe later, but I'm all on board with putting requirements in. It's either A, we're gonna do this right, or B, I'm just gonna walk up and down Main Street with a checkbook, which is not the right way to do this. So I appreciate that the board wants to do this thoughtfully. I really do. So maybe I don't know that we have enough information to dope out the details tonight, but maybe we just get an understanding of the board's willingness to do that, and then I can approach the merchants, find out their level of interest, and depending on what we find out on their interest in the survey results, that would really inform what we're going to do going forward.
I'm certainly interested in the idea. And yes, I'd like to see some of the survey information to better formulate whatever the program's gonna look like.
Should we make a motion to explore the business recovery program further then and identify details that need to make it strategic? Because I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
that.
Okay.
I was cutting in and out, so I'm not sure what was said there.
Just say aye.
Just inquiring if we need to make a motion, because I'm happy to make a motion to explore the details of the business recovery program.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that, this was put out there for discussion purposes tonight with the full understanding that we would need refinement on how we do it. But it is pretty much just for the board. Do we want to go forward with this plan? And I think I heard somebody before it kicked me off again, how important that survey is for our thinking on what we're going to be able to, how we can best invest. And part of that same conversation then is with Martha, seeing what kind of support she can get from the board, the partnership, or the Merchants Association to partner with us on this. So,
Are we confident that they'll step up at the same level as we are?
I don't know.
no, we don't have a clue.
I don't know.
They're going to buy flowers.
Oh,
They're gonna buy
remember, we
flowers
are live. We are live streaming.
So,
A couple other things on the, thank you for your, did we vote? Are we good?
We've got a motion and a second.
no, we had a motion by Rob and a second by
Leslie.
Leslie.
Or less, okay.
Or
Give it to
Donna?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. I also
Opposed?
have I'm sorry.
That carries.
All right, in the
Okay.
discussion
Other new
document,
business?
well, in the discussion document, there were a couple other things that, we can go over. One of the things I'm trying to do is explore, now those programs were people that, on a reimbursement basis. There are some maybe that don't have those, I don't know. We've got so much more we've got to learn about the businesses. But one of the things I just am concerned about is businesses that have reached their max, have run out of capital in order to reopen. Is there an opportunity to, partner? Did you all get a chance to read through that credit enhancement I'm talking about? This is just kind of out there because there are people that don't have cash. So how do we get them? How can we help them? We don't do working capital. We don't have the processes, the systems in place, the personnel to monitor and administer a working capital line of credit. So, are there people out there that we'd like to help somehow? And one of the things I talked about is I reached out to Jim Bellotta at the Chamber of Commerce, and he is with Evans Bank, which just acquired Fairport Savings. So one of the things I asked him would be, would you be interested if maybe these these businesses, their credit might not be exceptionally strong or whatever, would you be willing to extend credit to them with a deficit guarantee from the LDC, meaning that the bank would go ahead and underwrite the loan, close the line and administer it. And then should there be a default at some later point, that the LDC would be able to come in and take and give them 50% of the deficit that they end up with. They'd have to go through all their collateral, get to the point where they're going to find a judgment, and then we pay 50% of that. I have no idea if Jim ran it up the flagpole. We'll see if there's any interest. It would sort of function like an SBA guarantee, where a bank normally might not qualify, but with that additional enhancement, the bank is willing to take that extra risk. It's something that maybe there'll be an interest in. I'm hoping Evans will be interested because they're coming into the market, and hopefully they'll want to partner with us. I don't know if there'll even be a demand. Some people are saying, I don't want any more credit. But the reality is you still need to pay, you still got to get your inventory in, you got to get your napkins, your silverware, whatever, your inventory for resale. I don't know. There might be an interest, but it's one of the things I'm exploring. I don't need any approvals or anything right now, but it's just something to try to make credit available to others who might not qualify for it. So it's just throwing it out there and we'll see what happens kind of thing.
Mhm.
So
Worth exploring, right?
it could be okay. Yeah. I know I'd be a lot easier to deal with than the SBA with regard to SBA guarantees and paperwork and so forth. So I'm hopeful I can find a partner bank to make that work. So
Yeah,
we'll
I like the principles of it. I like the idea of leveraging, and I like that this is also potentially a partnership with another, local lender. It really, the principle demonstrates that the community's behind the businesses, I guess is the way to say it. So that really.
And Donna and I chatted a little bit about this too. And I think, Donna, if I may, you said that it puts the control in the business's hands, that it gives them that opportunity to make their own decisions and they can manage that credit how they feel best. It gives them the control, and that's important. It might be that we only guarantee it the first year or two, those type of things are to be worked out, but it's just something, why not? And then I had a third item there. Again, Kevin's talked about how we typically do not do just cash grants. I put this in here because I wanted the board to think about adopting some of the principles that like Empire State Development does when you have a large, significant project that could make a big difference to the local community. So as I kind of doped it out up here, you know, maybe we think about grants to businesses that are coming in and maybe are making, you know, a significant investment of $1.5 million or more that are bringing new jobs, not just promising to grow, but actually bringing employees to the village. And that, you know, a benefit to incentive ratio, something above 20-1. So what I'm saying is if you have a project like this, that is really going to be a big impact on the local village and all of the businesses and community and the housing and everything, the entire, could really make a significant right off out of the gate difference. If this pandemic has caused them to reconsider their investment or has made it more expensive for them to make this investment, is there an opportunity for us to act very similar to how Empire State Development operates, where you have that certain, you have a significant private investment that you are incentivizing with funds. And so you see there, I've included what the ESD guidelines are for those types of projects and grants. And I know we don't want to get into this on a regular basis, but I think when you have a significant project that's going to really make a big difference, if this is another tool in the bag to, you know, keep that moving forward, and I really would like there to be some willingness to consider it. And it's, again, it's not every day. It's not somebody that's putting in a $50,000, you know, heating and air, you know, HVAC system. This is somebody who's making a significant investment. So I'm just throwing that out there for your consideration. How does I'm sorry?
In a large investment like that, I mean, to really put a dent in it or make it appealing, it's got to be big resources that we have, right? I mean, we would have to throw, you know, a lot at that to make it viable for somebody.
Well, the way I'm thinking of it is that and again, this is all under the umbrella of the pandemic, that if there's incremental costs associated with this project due to, so for example, if somebody needs to reconfigure spaces and expend funds for additional architectural fees to recreate the floor plan, or they need to buy additional equipment, that we might be able to provide some assistance in that regard.
Okay. That's one for us to think about. We lose Leslie?
I don't know.
There she is.
There she is.
Okay. Any other new business for LDC?
No.
Okay. Then I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to review the low status report and the financial or credit history of a particular person or corporation.
So moved.
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, let me,
Opposed? He Zoom us or no?
I'm going to stop the live stream.